In this video, we're going to talk about how you can integrate Testim with GitHub Actions. But before we continue, we're going to make a few assumptions. First, we're assuming that you have an account, you've actually logged into Testim, you've created some tests, and you've also used our command line interface, which indicates that you probably have created some test plans or a test suite or a test label. If there's some things that we're glossing over and not really focusing on, based on some of those things I've mentioned, go back and look at our other videos that maybe will address some of those other issues. So let's go ahead and jump right into the product. So if you're logged into Testim and you click on this gearbox and click on CLI, you can see that we have a lot of code examples in here. Bamboo, Azure DevOps. But let's say you wanted to integrate Testim with GitHub Actions, right? So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what CI tool you're using, provided that it has access to a shell. As long as you can install Node and our npm package, you can kick off Testim tests from any CI tool, including GitHub Actions, and we'll show you that right away. So as you can see here, this is my project. So I have in my project, I created a .github and a workflows directory, and basically then here I have a YAML file. So here is the name, okay, and basically anytime I'm pushing or committing something to the repository, it's going to kick off an action. Keep in mind, this is simply one way to do it. There are multiple ways that you can kick off different jobs in GitHub Actions, whether it's a pull request, a comment, a commit, forking of a repository. There's a number of ways to trigger an action to occur. This is merely an example. So the most important thing to look at here is we're defining the Node version. So if you are going to use the Testim command line interface, at a minimum you need to be using Node version 10 or greater. Obviously there are newer versions, there's version 16 out. This is an example, but I would use the most recent Node version, for example. And in this command here, we're actually installing the Testim command line interface. We're checking the version, and then here is where we're actually going to run the Testim command line interface. So here I'm actually using a label, so any test that has the label GitHub Actions associated with it, it's going to be kicked off. Here's where I'm passing in my Testim token and my Testim project ID. We're running on the Testim grid, and then we're also running in turbo mode, which is our new high-speed mode of running. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go into one of these files, and I'm just going to go ahead and add an example. Example comment. Let's save this. And let's go to the command line now. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and commit this change. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and push this to our main repository, and we can see that's been pushed. And if we come up here to actions now, and we can see that this comment, and we can see that this is now actually queuing. So if we click on this, we can see that it's starting the job, and it's going to go through and sequentially essentially run all of these different steps in here sequentially. So now we can see it's installing the Testim extension. Let's come over here so we actually can see this test when it starts to run, because it'll kick off here in a second, and we'll see it running here in the Testim GUI. It takes about 35-40 seconds to install the npm package, and then we'll quickly kick off this test and we'll see the results in here in just a second. So while that's running, I should also mention that we also have an integration with GitHub. So for your application under test, if you are a developer, you can also essentially use our GitHub integration. So anytime you do a branch of your application, we can create tests against that branch and test them as well. When that branch is merged, we'll also merge that branch. So if you're not using that, keep that in mind, because that's something else that can be used as well. But as you can see here, the GitHub Actions test completed, and it passed. It ran so quick, it ran in 10 seconds. Again, with the lightning bolt, that means that this was run in high speed or turbo mode. So hopefully that provided a good overview of using GitHub Actions with Testim. Go out to the website or reach out to us if you have additional questions.